This is a tutorial on how to compute a symbolic and also a numeric solution to problems that we often see in process dynamics and control. Here's an input function that we're going to use to be able to calculate an output, and we have a transfer function there, g of s, that relates the output to the input. So given this graphical response here, we want to translate that into the Laplace domain. We already have our transfer function, and then we'll multiply the two together and then compute the output. The other thing that we'll want to do is compute a numeric solution, and I'll talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of both the symbolic and also the numeric solution at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. With Python, we can use Sympy, and there's the code for this. If you'd like to follow along with this or run it yourself, just come to the Process Dynamics and Control course. And if you go down to Transfer Functions on the right, and then scroll down, you'll see some material on transfer functions, and then this is the example problem here. And you can get the code as we go through it. Just make sure if you're going to run it, use the get code link there at the bottom, and that'll give it to you in raw format. Okay, so I'm going to move this over to the side just as we work on this. Okay, and I'll bring up the source code here. Make this just a little bit smaller off to the side. Okay, so let's start with a symbolic solution first. We're going to use Sympy. So we'll need to import Sympy as a package. If you don't have that, you can come to the command prompt and just do pip install Sympy. And if it's already satisfied, it'll say that it's there. If you need it, you can just use the pip install. I'm going to import some variables. S is going to be my Laplace variable, and t will be my time variable. I have NumPy, also using the SciPy inverse Laplace transform function, and then matplotlib as well. First of all, I want to define my inputs. So I want to have a step up. This is defining that input graph that you see over on the right. And that is going to have a 1 second time delay, so e to the minus 1s, and then times 2 divided by s, which is a step size of a step of 2 starting at time 1. Now I have my ramp down starting at 3 seconds, and that's going to be negative 1 over s squared times e to the minus 3s. That's where our ramp starts down, and then I need to cancel that out, have a ramp start in the opposite direction at 5 seconds with the same slope, and that makes it level off. So I use those three functions and I add them together to get the plot that you see over here on the right. Okay, so let's continue on with this one. The transfer function that's defined there, I'm just going to define that in terms of the s variable, and then I'll calculate the responses. So I have y1, y2, and y3. I need to compute those separately, else Sympy won't be able to calculate it. So there's kind of a limitation to how complex you can make the functions with Sympy. And then we'll take the inverse Laplace transform of all of those, u1, u2, and u3, just so we can see the response in the time domain. And then y1, y2, and y3. And then we'll add those signals back together. So I'll just print y1 just so we can see the inverse Laplace transform. Then I'll generate some data for the plot, and I'll just say I have 100 time points between 0 and 8, and I'll store my u values in us. And then my y values, I'll store those in ys. And then I need to substitute the numeric values for u and y. So I use Sympy and cycle through all of my different u values and all of my different time points, and then just add in with u.subs, that substitutes the symbolic variable t for tmi, which is the time at the ith data point. Okay, I'll also do that for y as well. And the same thing, just add those signals together. Because we have linear systems in deviation variable form, there's an additive property that you compute all the signals separately and then add them together. Now let's go ahead and just plot the results. So I'll plot time versus US, time versus YS, and just give it a legend and an X label, and then show the plot. So there. Okay, so we're done with that one. Let's go ahead and just compute this one. So I have the symbolic, and I'll go ahead and just open it up with IDLE to run it. Although you can run this from the command line as well, or from a Python notebook. So the very first thing we'll see is the output of y1 from the inverse Laplace. It takes a little bit just to compute these solutions. It's doing symbolic calculations with Sympy. And you can see it's still working on it right now. There's the symbolic solution, and there's the plot that we generated. So we generated this blue line right here with the three different Laplace functions: the step up, 2 divided by s, times e to the minus s. And then we had our ramp down, minus 1 over s squared. That started at 3 seconds. And then we also have the ramp up that adds to the ramp down and cancels that out, levels out at 0. But the thing that we're interested in is we put that signal through the transfer function, and then we get this orange line right here. Okay, this overshoot right here was caused because of our 0 that we had, s equals -1 here in the numerator of the transfer function, and so it caused this slight overshoot here. And then we see as well going down a little bit of overshoot, and then it comes back to the steady state value. Okay, let's go on with our numeric solution now. So sometimes when you have very complex systems, you're not able to compute a symbolic solution. Also, symbolic solutions, in this case with Laplace transforms, they're limited. They're limited to linear systems, and sometimes we have nonlinear systems or systems that are too complex to be linearized or approximated in the Laplace transform with Laplace transforms. So numeric solutions, this just shows the same problem, but we're going to use GEKKO to be able to solve this numerically. So we'll import GEKKO, we'll import NumPy and matplotlib, and then we'll create our GEKKO model. We'll call that M. We'll need some time points for our simulation. So now we're in the time domain instead of in the Laplace domain. So I'll have 81 time points just to make it so I have 10 time points per second. And then we'll define my input. I'll start with my ramp up at 1 second, or sorry, my step up at 1 second, my ramp down starts at 3 seconds, and then the ramp completes at 5 seconds. So I'll just create UT, which is just my zeros, and I'll make that dimension 81. And then between 1 and 3 seconds, I'm going to make that equal to 2. And then going on from there, I'm going to put in this loop where I'm going to create my ramp down. So I'm going to take my next UT value and make it a function of the prior one, but then I'll subtract 0.1 from each of those to make it ramp down. Now I'll need to define my model. Instead of doing this in the Laplace domain, I'll need to do this in the time domain. So my very first thing that I need is I need to be able to translate that transfer function back into a differential equation because I need it in the time domain. So I'm just going to follow these steps. I'm going to multiply, I have my transfer function g of s, which is equal to y of s over u of s. And then I'm just going to multiply this out on both sides and expand the polynomial. And then s squared times y of s is just going to be the second derivative of y with respect to time. And then if you have s times y, that's going to be the first derivative of y. And then over on the right hand side as well, you see, and you know what, this isn't quite right here. Let me fix this. I have one error in it. Okay, so I just need to go back to the web page and fix it. I'll fix that in the code later, but it should be 9 times y of t there. And then I have equals to 5 times du dt plus 5 times u of t. Okay, so just a slight correction there. I'll fix that on the web page. Should be 9 times y of t. Okay, so let me go back and I'll just close this out. Okay, make this a little bit bigger. Now I have my u, my y, my dy dt. I need to find that to get my second derivative. And then I have my m dot equation, ud equals u, and then dy dt equals y dot dt. So that defines my, that's going to help me define my second derivative. And there I'll see how I defined this, this equation. I have my second derivative of y, which is dy dt, and then I take an extra dt on that, then plus 6 times y dt plus 9 times y. So it's correctly listed here. And then I put the double equal sign, and it's 5 times the derivative of u plus 5 times u. So I had to define this equation here and this additional variable because you can't take a derivative in GEKKO of a parameter. And so I just had to make a copy of that variable, copy of that parameter and make it a variable so I could have it as a derivative here on the right side. Okay, so let's continue on. I have some simulation options. I'm just going to use I mode equals 9. That just means sequential simulation in GEKKO. And then I'm going to change the number of nodes to 4. And that's how many collocation points are used. It basically relates to the accuracy of the integration. It can be anywhere between 2 and 6. I'll say don't display as you're solving it. And then we'll plot the results similar to what we did on the symbolic solution. And then show the plot. Okay, so this is the numeric solution here, just a little bit more compact than the symbolic one. And let me come here and just run it and show you the solution. I run it, and this will be a little bit faster than the symbolic solution. And especially if you use a local solve instead of a remote solve. If you do remote equals false, then it will just compute locally. Looks like the internet is just a little bit slow right now, so I'm going to stop it and I'll do remote equals false. And that will just compute it locally instead, and it should just take a second to complete. You'll see the same solution that we had before. Now again, this is a numeric solution, so there'll be a slight difference between those. Okay, but let me go in here and I'll just change the nodes to 2. So a little bit less accurate, but should be faster. And you'll see more inaccuracy in the solution. Okay, so it didn't quite get up to the 1.6 like the other solution. It's close, but we introduced a little bit of inaccuracy with the numeric solution just because we didn't use as many time points in the integration. So if I put it back to 4, then I'll have something that's very close to the analytic solution. So again, just to reiterate, between the analytic and numeric solutions, the analytic being the symbolic form, and the numeric being numerical integration of the equations. You know, the advantage of this, I guess the numeric solution is that you can express the models in the time domain. So the original differential equations are solvable. I'll just put these two side by side as I talk about it. Okay, so you know, the other thing is that for complex systems, as I mentioned before, you may have not just these three equations right here, but you might have, you know, several hundred or thousands or even millions of equations that you want to solve. And it can be very challenging to solve those, or even impossible, symbolically. So sometimes numeric solutions are the only option. You know, an advantage of the analytic solution, one of the reasons why I like to use analytic solutions is because I like to then validate a numerical solution, especially for a simple case study. So it gives me more confidence going ahead to, you know, add complexity or other things that I can't verify. You know, the other thing is that you know, analytic solutions, they have a very nice closed form. So you can use the results of those in subsequent analyses and be able to basically carry on the results without having to recompute the solution like you do numerically over and over again. So anyway, those are just some of the advantages and disadvantages of both. I hope you appreciate this you know, this tutorial. Feel free to leave a comment down below, and love to hear your feedback on this and any requests for additional examples.